Hello. Welcome to Maverick Happy Hour. It is just at 3 o'clock. Look at me actually starting a show on time. My name is Kirk Henderson. I'm editor at Mavs Moneyball. Thank you so much for joining the show today. This is Maverick Happy Hour, and I am enjoying an adult beverage today. It's an all-hands vodka soda. Didn't want to make one myself. It's about 3 p.m. I already said that. So it's really fun planning these shows in the sense of what are we going to talk about today? As you guys know, this is our fan-powered show here where you can join. There's a StreamYard link in the YouTube comments. If you're listening later, I advise you to join the YouTube channel and then participate in these shows. We have a lot of fun. Earlier in the week, I just figured we'd talk about whatever articles we had come out, just a little pre-draft chicanery. And then, of course, the slow leak that the Knicks might be interested in Dallas Mavericks head coach Jason Kidd. Friend of the program, Mark Stein, put out a report today that is so juicy we could talk about it for the next hour, and I'm sure that's exactly what we're going to do. If you aren't subscribed to Mark Stein's Substack, I recommend it. Mark's a good guy, friend of the show, hard worker, longtime Mavs guy, just knows a lot about what's going on, particularly with the parties in particular. Jason Kidd being an interesting one. And as you read this piece, one of the things he indicates is that the Mavericks could have shut this down already, meaning made it clear to the Knicks that Jason Kidd isn't going anywhere. And that hasn't happened. We've had today's Friday, and I want to say the first indication of this started happening maybe Wednesday. So we've had 2.5 business days at this point for the Mavericks to put out a report through someone, either off the record or not, that they're not going to let him out of his contract, or that they're not interested in letting him talk whatsoever, which is within their right to do as a coach under contract. So this just opens up the world to a lot of possibilities. My official Pod Maverick stance on this is that Jason Kidd is much more likely to remain the Dallas Mavericks head coach than he is go anywhere else. But still, let's at least play with the possibility here. So I'm going to start bringing folks up. We already have 5 people waiting. I'm going to go in the order in which I get people today. So if you have takes, just, if you're getting in line, stay in line. Coming up first is my man, Brian. How you doing, Brian? Welcome.
Good, buddy. How are you? Happy Friday.
I'm okay. Got a haircut. Feel good.
There you go. Have you gotten the Switch 2 yet?
No, and I saw you like an asshole standing in front of your cool wall of Marvel stuff, holding a Switch 2 up in the air. That was pretty great. Good for you, man. Are you enjoying it?
Yeah, no, so far so good. No, it was a pleasant surprise. Honestly, we've had our kind of normal day-to-day turned upside down the last couple of weeks, and I saw how big of a shit show it was with the pre-sales, and I honestly just didn't even bother with it. I
wasn't going to consider it. Yeah, that's kind of what I did. I'm like, you know what? I have my video game from 2006, Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which I can play into my heart's content. So I hadn't really thought about it, but good for you. I'm glad for you. I'm glad people got this. So
yeah, no, it was a complete surprise from the missus. She basically said, "Hey,
oh, that's dope."
Yeah, well, she got on a waiting list for GameStop, and they were like, "Hey, we have one. You must come get it today." Now. She was like, and it was so funny because a lot of wives probably don't understand the concept of being a nerd and like getting up at like 11 o'clock to get said console. So she was trying to explain the process. I was like, "Dear, I've done this before. Don't worry." Like,
well. Speaking of surprises, what's your take on all this, Jason Kiddery?
I mean, as the days have kind of gone by, I think it was like we were wish casting, and then like you hear other podcasts, obviously the Hoop Collective, I have like my antennae up. Like usually when something's complete bull, like these podcasts of like major people will swat it off the half court. But just the fact that they were just like, "Hey, we're not saying it could happen, but we're saying just keep an eye out on
one day of that is acceptable to me." But then at some point, someone has to come out and say, this is no longer a thing. And the fact that it's extended into essentially day 3 is very interesting to me.
Yeah, no, totally. And, you brought up like what Stein said. And then I think Josh actually tweeted out earlier as well. Like why is there smoke to this? Why? And
well, my, you just mentioned your wife. Okay.
Yeah.
People that are in happy relationships don't look around.
Yes, exactly. And, it was funny on the Hoop Collective the other day, McMahon kind of went through like the history of Jason Kidd and how, generally speaking, he usually not only burns a bridge, he like burns the castle.
This was Josh and I's this was Josh and I's whole deal when they hired him back in 2022.
Yeah.
21? Yeah, like he has a history of burning the house down on his way out. Now this isn't that, but the fact is that it's like that it looks messy.
Is he trying to get out ahead of something?
Like, I think so.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to gather. And obviously, like, there was reports of what Nico did that Kidd wasn't a fan of, and is that bridge burned? And just the fact that Nico Harrison's in witness protection agency is kind of interesting. Now, I wonder if to entertain this, does Nico have to be involved at all? Or is this like is this a Patrick Dumont? Is this a Rick Welts? Like, I'm wondering like who has to be a part of this conversation, or I don't know who Kidd's representation is exactly.
Yeah.
It's very, very interesting. And it's kind of like, I'm almost to the point where if this, hey, like we can't say nothing cannot happen anymore. Like never say never. Like we have to just accept that after the last 100 days we went through. So it would, this, I think Josh has been on this for a while, that we realistically have to accept Nico is going to be with the team at least until next year.
I don't think so.
Well, no, I'm hopeful, but again, if hypothetically, if they let Kidd go, what Nico allies are left, and would Dumont actually come out and say, you know what, like we don't really need a new coach because we're drafting Cooper Flagg. Let's just rip this Band-Aid off right now, because who would advocate for Nico to stay other than maybe Kyrie and AD? And, I'm happy everything Kyrie has done, but I mean, brother, like we're in a new direction at this point. And if Nico, like firing Nico Harrison and hiring a new coach and going in a different direction makes you want to opt out, then by all means, brother, like go for it. And I think that'll finally give the organization to say, you know what, like, cause we've wanted Patrick Dumont to come out and say, hey, my bad. I was misinformed. I wasn't really familiar with the situation. If you want to make Rick Welts the honorary GM in waiting, that's completely fine. I'm almost kind of wish casting, like we can almost restart and go back to, what year one Luka was, right? And we get to start over this journey, because I think you and I have always kind of been on the same level of why is Nico still here? Because to
most
me,
people are that way.
Well, yeah. And then I think in a way, this has almost rekindled my fandom a little bit, where I'm furious to the fact that no, you don't get to enjoy Cooper Flagg. You dummy. Like, we're in this situation because of you. And like, who's to say if Nico's still around, he could just say, oh, Cooper Flagg, I don't like you anymore. I'm gonna trade. Like, I would hope at that point, Patrick Dumont and Rick Welts would step in, but it's just, he doesn't get to enjoy this journey with us. Like, I'm sorry. No. And you've already said, hey, I've only got 3 years left. I don't want to waste 3 years of Cooper Flagg's like basketball life. Like, his time is, and obviously Simmons has already kind of wish cast himself, like, hey, maybe Cooper Flagg won't resign, that initial first extension, because I mean, it is interesting the fact that, at 18 years old, he's already made like $25 million. So he's already ahead of the curve as far as money.
Yeah, the NIL reports on him.
Yeah,
funny, man.
Which is ridiculous.
Will Simmons being like, I don't know. Like, why would he come to the NBA at all? It was a fun one.
Right. Yeah. So do you think if they entertain the idea of Kidd leaving, do you think at that point they would actually make the move of firing Harrison finally?
I think it just gives you, the best time to fire Nico Harrison was as soon as you realize the trade was bad. The next best time is the next moment. So I really don't have a great answer on this one, but I think they would have some justification. It's fascinating because there's just so many pieces involved. And I think a lot of folks, my take, just sort of my opinion, I could be wrong. 41, Jason Kidd has been a part of my life since I was 10 in some way, shape, or form. When was he drafted by the Mavericks? 93?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, it wasn't, he's been there. So I just don't think players care about Jason Kidd, the player, anymore, unless you're over the age of 30. It's like Kyrie, it cared a lot to Kyrie, he said as much, but it's just worrying about him as a draw to the franchise. The Mavericks are not in that point in the cycle right now. I know a lot of people like telling me how good this team is. I will couch it to say I think the team is talented, but from a basketball fit, I just don't understand how they're supposed to play right now with the different pieces. And so Kidd will be the first one who gets grief if things don't look good on the court. So I just see like him, it's an escape hatch kind of thing is where I am.
Yeah, and because I'm with you on that, because the structure of this team looks good for fantasy basketball. Yeah. And there might be moments they're going to
score 86 points and get beat 91 to 86 kind of
thing. Where they may be able to out physical maybe like the dog shit teams of like the Eastern Conference, but then when you get a halfway competent team, they're going to be able to out scheme like the structure of the Mavericks. They're going to be like, oh, well, they lay all these bigs. Let's just shoot threes because the Brooklyn Nets kind of laid out the formula on how to beat this, big team that they want. And I'm with you. It really right now it doesn't make sense structurally, and it would just behoove the direction where like as soon as flag is drafted, the timer starts. Like, why can't we just move forward with that? Because like, I'm sorry, Anthony Davis. I'm sorry, like PJ Washington. Thanks for your service, but like, let's get out of here and start anew. And it's interesting, like with the Kidd aspect, right? I wasn't surprised New York got rid of Tibbs. I'm just interested to see if Kidd hypothetically wanted to go over there. He obviously has a relationship with Brunson. Like if Kidd leaves, does he take the entire staff with him?
Well, I'll probably talk about this with other people because I want to talk about the certain Stein elements. But if you haven't read the whole Stein report, there's some other things that are in there that I will hit on a little later in the show. Okay. That's a good question.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks so much. You got anything else?
No, I hope at some point you are able to get a Switch 2 for the kiddo. The Mario Kart experience
it's not for my kid. F them kids.
Well, Mario Kart, the new one is actually fantastic. I was kind of like, the graphics, everything, the play, it's fantastic. When you get it,
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, message me and we'll play some Mario Kart.
Be good, man. Thanks so much for joining.
Later, buddy.
All right. Coming up next is my man Brian. Brian, how we doing, bub?
Pretty good. Can you hear me?
I can. Tell me your feelings. What emotions ran through you when you started to hear this Jason Kidd adjacent stuff? There we go. Hope the audio picked up Brian cracking a Modelo. Beautiful. That's fantastic.
Look, man. Look, it's a Friday afternoon. I'm feeling good. It's a little hot, but it's nice out. And I hear that Jason Kidd might be getting ready to weasel his way out and escape some of this blame for how this team is going to look next season. And I said, you know what? That's right, Jason. You do your thing. You go to New York and blow that whole situation up and let us get a couple second rounders for you. I appreciate you. Because I know Nico's gone not too long after that.
Yeah,
I've been telling people for months he's not going to make it to 2026 training camp. If Jason Kidd successfully weasels his way out of here this summer and goes over to the Knicks, which is something that I did not foresee coming because I didn't think Tibbs was getting fired.
Really?
I didn't think so. Like I'd heard, like everyone else, how much pressure was on him pretty much to make it past the second round and get to the conference finals, and then the pressure started mounting just because of fan expectation to get to the finals. But that Pacers team has kind of been a monster for the last 30 games.
Every team they played has fired their coach.
Yeah, look, dude, it's a whole bunch of people like, bruh, there's no way y'all letting Tyrese Halliburton do this to y'all. But he keep doing it to him.
Yep.
So shout out to Tyrese and Pascal. But Yeah, it's I didn't think that Knicks job was going to be open because I just thought, okay, they just really got their core together because they just got Carl and Mikhail this season. So no, they're not going to fire him this early.
Yeah.
And yet they made the Eastern Conference Finals, and now he's gone, and that job is open. And they interviewed Jason for it around the time that they gave it to Tibbs. So, or they post interest in Jason around the time that they, yeah. So, yeah, him potentially being gone and out of my life personally is a blessing. That's how I see it. So I'm having a great day, Kirk.
Good. So Brian asked a question. I sort of want to address it with you because I'm not sure how familiar you are. Where did I close the Mark Stein piece? I think I did, like an idiot. The Mark Stein piece indicates that there's actually a fair amount of interest in some of the key players in the Mavericks coaching staff. Like Sean Sweeney was getting interviewed by Phoenix, didn't make it. Dudley was also interviewed by Phoenix, and Dudley is now being pursued by the Grizzlies. In the Grizzlies coaching staff, I reached out to somebody that covers the team there, and I said, do you think he would fit with the coaching staff? And his response was, the Grizzlies coaching staff as constructed right now does not have any hoopers, which made me laugh out loud, but is also really like they have a nerdy kind of European coaching staff right now. And you need you need guys to bridge the gap. And I've had a lot of thoughts about Dudley ever since he was a college player. But one thing I do have to give him is he seems to be kind of a man for all seasons, like a guy who can really connect with lots of different kinds of people, which is why, like, I've over the years, I've grown on him as a head coach eventually, just because he seems to be that kind of connector. He might not be excellent at any one thing, but so that's two key guys on the Mavericks 37 person coaching staff that show interest, and that complicates things, don't you think?
Yeah, it is tough. I will say, just so generally speaking, as far as Sweeney and Jared are concerned, if we are cleaning house with kids staff, let's get rid of most of the 16 assistant coaches that were sitting on the bench last season. I don't mind it. And I want Dudley and Sweeney to move on to like bigger opportunities if they're out there for them, or even if they're like lateral moves that have, more potential down the line.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, last season, and again, this is going to narrow it down to a precious few people. If you actually watched the Mavericks play basketball last season, even after the Luka injuries, even after the Luka trade, the Kyrie injury, the AD injury, Lively, if you watch through all of that, what stayed consistent for the most part was the effort and the buy-in that the coaching staff got from all of those players. Yes. I think that Sweeney is a big part of that. I think that Jared Dudley is a big part of that. I think that Jason Kidd is a big part of that. Mm-hmm. And while I think that there are coaching staffs that you could bring in that could definitely vary what we do offensively, with some more regularity, and uplift the baseline of this team really on both ends, just by doing some things that seem sort of basic to me, like, as a fan watching, like, obviously I'm no coach. I don't really know what exactly goes on when they do get the chances to practice and the things that they are calling and trying to do in games.
Right.
But the way that they kept that team's morale as high as it was, and their effort level as high as it was, despite the shit and slog of a season that this was, my hat goes off to them. And I think that is something incredibly valuable that we could be losing if we don't bring in the right staff behind them. So,
well, this is tough because I want, like, one of the things I need people to understand that they just nobody really wants to hear me on is everybody thinks I'm like a negative asshole, which I suppose is true. But like, I also need everyone to understand that when the Mavericks are better, it helps me. It's like quite literally helps me, more dollars in my pocket. So I want the Mavericks to be good.
Yep.
I just don't believe it. And so at the moment, I'm sitting here going, who's going to, like, what does the coach matter if they're going to win 38 to 42 games this year? And somebody in the comments can be like, Kirk, you're a negative. And I'm just like, and I could be wrong. like there's so many changes that could happen between now and then, like just roster wise. So there's just a lot of like opportunity and a lot of pitfall. So it's just at the moment, I just don't like if kids coach fine. If kids coach not fine, isn't the coach also fine? Is sort of what I'm feeling at the moment.
Yeah, Jason Kidd he's shown himself to have a certain aptitude where he can sort of rise to the occasion, at the very least defensively, as a coach in the playoffs. But on the whole, man, you can kind of get the level of effort and the level of buy-in and like the other things that you're kind of like expecting to get from a good coach or a decent coach somewhere else without making going to super great lengths to go and find a coach elsewhere. Like you can find a coach who will come in and like essentially roll the ball out like Jason will do like 1 or 2 times a week, where it just feels like they're just kind of flowing offensively and there's not a whole lot of play calls happening, and it's a lot of allowing the players on the court to decide, really dictate what's going to happen and what actions they're going to run if they're going to run any, which is a big pet peeve of mine. But yeah, like you can find someone that can get like that can give you that level of actual improvement night to night. What you can't find with regularity is someone who's going to be able to get them to play as hard as these guys can night to night. They'll have the game where they come out and they're just genuinely not prepared. And Jason will go into the post game and he'll say, "Yeah, we just weren't prepared today," or we played like we weren't prepared. We played like we didn't want to play tonight. And you scratch your head because it's like, well, dude, that feels like your job, but we put a lot of that onto him when there are some nights where it genuinely just looked like the players were just out there doing whatever and they didn't want to. But God, where was I going with this?
That's what happy hour is about, man. It's having beverages, and talking into the wind.
Yeah, I just look, if Jason goes, I'm happy with that. If he stays, I'm fine with that. But for all the people, and Wupo, who's usually in the chat, when we do playback, I was talking to him and arguing with him and another guy in the DLLS live chat a little bit earlier about what this Mavericks team was going to be if everything pretty much stayed the same and they just went and pursued like a guard.
Yep.
Right? Because it's like, how can you tell me that this team is a contender and you absolutely cannot trade any of the top guys or trade away Kyrie and AD and try to prepare for your future with Cooper Flag, when the coach looked at the team and said, "I'm going to entertain this other job"?
That's the part that I think makes me so frustrated about Jason Kidd is he's really good at plausible deniability now. Like, because he'll be able to say, "I have no interest in this job," whereas 2 different media figures that are familiar with Mavs world are saying, "Well, it's a maddening proposition," because I think like once that barn door is open, you're not getting the animals back in, and
he's really good at walking the line.
And I know there's all these other elements, like it just makes for a fascinating offseason. Like what happens with Kyrie, and it's like, I said this earlier in a group chat I'm in where it's like Kyrie's going to resign. You know why? Because the Mavericks can offer him the most money. He'll figure out what to do later, maybe, but he's going to take the most money as well. He should. And secondarily, this is something I may write on. I want the Mavericks to offer him the most money. I want him to be a Maverick. It's a bizarre sentence for me to say, guys. I want Kyrie Irving to be a Maverick. If you listen to my show 2 years ago, 2023, I guess it's 2023, probably right around the trade deadline in February. I'm like, I just don't want to touch this guy with 1,000-foot pole. Kyrie Irving's changed my mind, and I value Kyrie Irving. I think he is still crazy as the day is long, but I think he's genuine. And did I say genuine? Genuine.
It's the drinks, brother. It's fine.
I value his genuine attitude and the things that he's brought to the team. And even if he can't play, I think you reward players that set that kind of culture and value. And if he asks to go elsewhere later, then you deal with that. That's what I think.
And if he asks to go elsewhere later, it'll presumably be after he's come back.
That's right.
A bit, built up that value. So now you're not trading kind of gimpy Kyrie Irving, who has a torn ACL currently, you are trading Kyrie Irving. Okay, maybe not what it used to be, but still Kyrie Irving and still a player that can bring you something if you are looking to be a contending team that you will value and you will pay somewhat of a premium for.
Yep.
Like I love Kyrie. I would love it if he retired here. I'm kind of at that point. Like, who knows if that happens? Who knows if we can make that happen? We definitely need to re-sign him this summer. And I don't see there being a big enough market for him as things currently stand, especially with the injury, where that's not going to happen. So I'm not really stressed about the summer as far as he is concerned.
Well, thank you so much for kicking us for a while. You're the second listener to pop up. You gonna enjoy that Friday afternoon beer? Do you got anything else before I move on to Matt?
No. Looking forward to the draft. Let's have some fun.
You write draft things for me, Brian. Be
Okay,
excited. Wishcast. Do weird things. Say this is what they should do with the second rounder. They should.
Hey, Ryan Nimhart.
I've not berated you guys in the Slack about this, but really, it's like draft time is a time where I really don't mind wishcasting. Like the homie Dalton is out here on Mavs Twitter being Dennis Smith Jr. and I'm like, I'm gonna slap you. No, that's bad. That's bad wishcasting. As much as I like Dennis. Anyway, all right, man. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon. Okay.
All right, brother. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Coming up next is Matt. Matt, welcome to the show. How you doing, bud?
Pretty good. How are you, Kirk?
I am great. What are you thinking today?
I am thinking I'm very happy that Jason Kidd always looks out for himself over anybody else.
Very predictable. Though, I must admit, I was still caught off guard. Like, I'm not surprised now that I've thought about it, but at the moment I was like, this isn't a thing. And then now it's like, of course it's the thing.
Yeah, I don't think I was really too caught off guard just because when Stein first published that article Tuesday night or Wednesday night, and he said in that article that he could not get confirmation right away, that first thing set off the kind of alert in my brain that I was like, that's odd, because he had the denial from the Rockets that just said this is not happening with Udoka.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of raised it. And then McMahon the next day was on Hoop Collective saying the same kind of thing. And then Stein was on the DLS show saying the same kind of thing.
The best part, do you ever read comments to like tweets and videos and stuff of that sort of thing? Do you ever look?
I try not to.
I'm a sicko and I cannot help myself. And the sheer number of people who are like, McMahon's a liar. And I'm like, I get that McMahon often does some things to sell his stories in like a big picture sense, but he's not normally wrong.
No, he might, like you said, he might kind of want to stir up some drama every now and then, but like it's because he knows it's there.
Sure.
From his reporting and his sources.
I don't see how this happens. Like the Mavericks would quite literally have to let him out of his contract because I saw some of the available trade assets and like the Knicks just don't have anything.
So my thought, I tweeted this out earlier, but if I was the Mavericks, I'd be looking at, I saw in McMahon's article today, he mentioned that they have their swaps for their first round picks still available in like 2031, 2030.
Sure.
I know that's not necessarily the best, but it's like, can we guarantee that Knicks roster is going to be together in 7 years?
No, you can't guarantee they're going to be together next year. Like this
exactly. So you'd be similar to how teams were doing to us.
I'm glad you share. I didn't even see this McMahon thing. Thank you. I'm reading it right now.
Yeah, it was on top story on ESPN. He was confirming the reporting from Stein, but
so just so everybody knows who's contributing to this report. Shams Charania and Tim McMahon, and then at the very bottom it says ESPN's Chris Herring. So we now have like 7 really connected journalists that are all hearing the same thing.
And Ian Begley from SNY.
That's right.
Yeah, he also confirmed it.
Wild.
So my thought was still, though, like those swaps, you're kind of like shorting the future of the Knicks and hoping that it goes south at some point, and then maybe when Cooper Flagg's entering his prime, similar to what the Spurs did with Wemby with us, like, hey, we have this swap to move up possibly with New York in 2030, 2031.
See, I don't hate that.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's better than nothing.
There's a couple of Mavs accounts that we all follow that are like, oh, you can't let kid go. And I'm just like, why?
Exactly. You can find...
That's not a kid hatred statement. I'm just like, what is kid doing next year that is differentiate? Like, I guess the thought has to be, and this is where I always get into hot water. I guess the thought has to be, you really think the Dallas Mavericks are going to be a top 8 team in the NBA next year? And I just don't see it. That's all.
I don't either. I've been pretty consistent with this in the past few weeks. Just like 9 or 10 best chance, unless they luck into Kobe White or Colin Sexton somehow, which I don't see happening.
Yeah, too expensive.
Yeah, exactly. And those are about the only guys that would move the needle enough. I think that could get them in that top 8.
Nice.
Because we still don't have a training staff. And can you really project that AD, Lively are going to stay healthy all year?
Yeah.
When they never do? I don't really see it. So I do want to know, if they do let Kid go, do you think that they're going to just promote from within for coach, or do you think Nico's going to look outside? Because I'm assuming Nico's still going to be here somehow. I mean,
it's a great question, and I've honestly not given it enough thoughts.
Yeah, after you and Brian were talking, I was thinking, with you mentioning the stuff about Dudley, even though that wouldn't be my choice for who would replace Kid, that seems like a Nico thing to do, like get another relationship guy.
Sure.
And I would hate that. I don't think he's going to be a good head coach if he ever gets it. I could be wrong there, but I just don't see it.
Yep.
But I would go with Sweeney if you're going to go with an internal option, just because we know what he does on the coaching staff. But I mean, ideally, you would just get rid of Nico. And my other thought I had on this was, if Kid's willing to move on, if you're Dumont, don't you have to just go, all right, I'm losing my head coach now because of what this GM did? I mean, at what point, how many people in the organization do you have to keep losing over one guy before you get rid of that one guy?
It's a top-notch point. Brian sort of alluded to that as the first caller, and I think that's a really great way to frame it. Like, even though I think most of us would tend to think Kid played a role, the optics are bad. So it's a good point.
Yeah. All right. I don't really have much else.
Appreciate you joining.
Yeah. Been a long time listener.
Yes, sir.
Yep. So.
All right. Well, we'll talk soon. Hope you come back.
Yep. Have a good Friday.
All right, guys, on the audio stream, I'm going to insert some ads here, and then I'll be back with Zach. We got Tyron, we got Jose. I want to answer a good question in the chat from Cam to Hooper that I think is when I come back from. So I'm going to pause here for the video. It's going to be like 5 seconds of me just staring into the void, but hold up, and then we'll be right back. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out. This is Pod Maverick Happy Hour. I'm Kirk Henderson, and this is our release summertime Friday show where you can join and talk a little Mavs with me. We're talking Jason Kidd stuff because, of course, there's news. If you have not subscribed to the show, please consider doing so. If you have not considered, leaving reviews, comments. I love the comments, even people who hate me, which is really pretty much the only people who comment these days. But I'm glad that we have. So I am soliciting thoughts. If anybody would like to do screen caps, whatever you want to call it, it's like the visual that comes up on the thing before you click on YouTube. We used to do those before the games, and our guy kind of fell off. He just didn't have time. I'm interested in anybody that would want to do it. I can probably find a way to pay. But again, you guys all know how much Josh and I don't make on this. This is primarily for the love. I'm also interested in if anybody has like strong opinions. I've been told a lot that I need to make like a tip jar instead of like people sending us stuff through YouTube that feel so on occasion. I would love opinions on that because I just don't know anything about it and don't have the time to research. All right. So Cam to Hooper asked a good question. I just think it's worth addressing because he says, if you get rid of Nico for who? It's a great question. I am personally right now really, and this is a recency bias thing, Cam, so it's an idiotic answer, but I apologize. I like the Matt Riccardi guy that went on the Take That With You podcast, who's the assistant GM, even though I could have sworn it was Michael Finley. I will also just sort of take anyone that understands what's ahead for the Mavericks. Tim McMahon's book about building around a superstar. If you think that Cooper Flagg is a superstar, that is you need someone that understands that you got to build. So I'm interested. But I don't have a good answer past that because I've honestly not given it enough thought. You'd think I'd give it more thought, but really good question, and I will have to think about it. All right, coming up next is Zach. Welcome.
Hey, Kirk. How's it going?
How you doing, bub? I'm doing okay. What can I do for you?
Yeah, so one, thanks for doing this. I know I tweeted at you. I assume you had this planned, but the irony of that happening today. Appreciate you doing this because I have a lot of thoughts since
Sure, let's hear them.
I took some notes, so if you see me looking on the side. So my overall thoughts is just like meh on all of this, mainly because it just still feels kind of icky being a fan right now with Nico still in charge because my central thought is this, and I felt this way really ever since obviously the Luka trade and then especially after the Grimes trade, is I have no faith that however this plays out, assuming Nico is in charge, that whether it's kid stays, kid goes, we get compensation, we don't, that when it's done, I'm going to be like, that went well. That was executed well.
Right.
And I'm happy with like whatever happens. I just don't have faith that is going to be the outcome because of who's in charge. I also think the irony of the last time Kid unceremoniously left the Mavericks, it was for the Knicks.
Right.
And so I thought about that. And it's tough to make definitive conclusions because I don't know or trust the direction of the team, is kind of what I was getting at. Like, if we're stripping it down to the studs, like you alluded to this talking about 38 wins, but I'm saying like way worse. I think it's irrelevant whether Kid is the coach or not if we are not going to be competing at a high level.
Yep.
If we are going to, see this roster through healthy and do like the 2 timelines thing, like I really do want Kid to be the coach. Like if we are bringing Kyrie back and we have AD, like this team put up a fight last year. Kid has shown he's good in the playoffs. And I'm not saying I believe this. I'm just saying if that is the stated intended direction of the team, we are going to win. We are not selling our assets. Like, then I do want Kid to be here. Also, a thought I had, though, was if you do want to keep winning, but Kid does want to go to the Knicks so we can get compensation, Taylor Jenkins wouldn't be an awful guy to consider bringing in. I don't know all the details of him in Memphis, but at least like Jenkins saw that ascension with the Grizzlies. Jenkins has proven he can like be a coach when you're starting over. He can.
He's a local guy, right?
Yeah, he went to my high school. So
okay, yeah. So that's because him and Sharks were teammates.
Yeah. So I obviously I have a soft spot for the guy.
Sure.
He's like a legend in my high school. So like I am biased pro Taylor Jenkins, and I will admit that. So those are my overall thoughts. The last tidbit I just want to get in there was like watching the game last night. If this Pacers offense somehow does beat this generational Oklahoma City defense, the whole defense wins championships thing. I know we already all thought a certain way, but would there be any more like cherry on top way to this season for like a really versatile offense overcoming a generational defense? If that, I know it's one game.
And I love it because that's what I'm hoping for, because then we just get to yell about how defense does not, in fact, win championships. So
I'm curious, I just kind of monologued over there, but I went through a few things like what you think about my points there.
I like them. I am at the point in the off season. This is going to seem not like me because I'm usually just argumentative, where I'm kind of open to all ideas, because what I want and what the Mavericks will actually do are just likely still far apart. Like, I want to move on from AD, not because I hate AD, but because I don't think the Mavericks are going anywhere, and I want them to just really blow it all up. But I think if they are going to try to 2-track it, it makes some sense. All these people are telling me, oh, well, it's just really important that Flag get mentored, blah, blah, blah. I think those are good points. It's like Chris Paul had been in the league for 2 years when Cooper Flag was born. Like, I'm not, there's like mentorship, and then there's like playing basketball with your dads. And I could go so many, you could sell me anything insofar as long as we're approaching this from I believe the goal is, as long as your team expectations are reasonable. So it's like, I just don't know if the Mavericks are a playoff team right now. But okay, so if you think they are, and the goal should be to make the playoffs.
And that's where I believe and this is where I don't object to anybody challenging me on that too. I just based off of, and this is me also with giving Kid the benefit of the doubt and assuming those injuries, and it also depends on who we bring in for the other guard. But I think with a relatively healthy Anthony Davis, Lively back, Flag is going to be a really good addition to the team, like regardless of whether he's rookie of the year or not. I think this is, as currently constructed, without selling off any pieces, and health, God willing, this is at minimum a play-in team in my opinion, because you go down the list. Like, I don't think, obviously Utah won't be better than us. I don't think Portland did well at the end of the season. Who knows what's going to happen with a team like the Clippers? The Kings are going to be back to what they were. That's 4 teams right there already. Mavs would just have to be better than one other team to make the play-in. And to Kid's credit, you guys were talking about earlier, players play for him, and they do play hard. And I think that matters for regular season, which is why I care about keeping him if we are trying to be competitive. I think I have concerns about, like, I agree, I want Kyrie back. My only concern about Nico not being here is like what I don't want is Flag joining the Mavericks just in a chaotic state. Like we can say we're chaotic right now, and in the grand scheme of things we might be, but in a micro context, we still have the same coach and the same GM. And that's why now, like at this point, I agree with you. I'm kind of open to anything, but to make it now, less than 3 weeks before the draft, like, that's not ideal for Flag. That said, like, he's under contract for at least 4 years. So I think for me, it's just all about process. I care about process, I think, more than actual outcomes. And I would like process to be aligned with expectations and possibilities.
Yep.
And I believe we're good enough to be a playoff team.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how
I like it. No, it's a defensible position. So I appreciate you hopping on to share it with us.
Yeah. Thanks, Kirk. Appreciate it.
Talk soon, right? Later. All right. Coming up next is Tyron. Tyron, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing all right. Can you hear me?
You sound great.
All right, cool. I'm going to try to make this quick because I'm outside at work and apparently iPhones don't like the heat.
Yeah.
As far as Jason Kidd goes, I'm not surprised, and I don't blame him. The Mavericks organization has just, I mean, it works. I can't say I want to say. They've effed up so many times, like with personnel. I mean, I just, it makes sense to me that he would want to go look somewhere else. I mean, just the whole Luka Doncic thing in and of itself, right? I mean, sure, Jason Kidd might have told Nico in confidence, like, hey, this guy, I don't know. But, you don't go and trade the guy in the middle of the night and not tell the guy who has to literally deal with him every night on the court. That's his superstar. That's his bread and butter. I mean, you look at Steve Kerr and Steph Curry. They didn't have the best relationship when they first started, but hell, their GM didn't go fire Kerr. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't do that. Take the Mavericks organization. Now, I know they're not listening to this. I hope they listen to this. I hope they listen to me. Take the emotion out of stuff and focus on winning. Because getting rid of Jason, or not even getting rid of Jason Kidd, letting Jason Kidd walk or even go do an interview for New York right now. If we lose Jason Kidd, the whole bottom will fall out of this whole organization before October. I'm
So,
talking about a complete shit show.
Walk us through this. Walk us through why. So tell me why, like what you mean by what the bottom will fall out, because I think I agree. And then tell me why that's a problem for you, if it is.
Well, I'll start with the last question first. It's a problem for me first because I'm a Mavericks fan and I want to see my team do well. I don't care about Nico Harrison's emotions. I care about seeing my team win. And we have the potential to be a winning team, but there's been so much nonsense that has gotten in the way of us winning over the last, God, for like it feels like forever now. Last 5-6 years, I feel like we could have done a lot better, and we did. We fumbled because of emotions.
Yes,
and I'm tired of it. Now, as far as what the bottom falling out, if Jason Kidd leaves, there's too many players on this roster. Because I agree with the last gentleman. I do believe that we have a playoff roster as well. However, those guys are tied to Jason Kidd.
Yes.
Right.
You have to start. You have to start moving pieces if he moves. Like it kind of supercharges that potential avenue into being a thing you think about doing, into being a thing that I think you kind of have to start doing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't think they're gonna have a choice because I mean, if Kyrie, like everybody says that if we fire Nico, then Kyrie's gonna leave. No, he's not, because when Nico was talking trash about Luka out the door, Kyrie made a very public statement saying that he didn't agree with how they were handling the situation. So if Nico gets fired, I'm not worried about Kyrie. However, if Jason Kidd walks, I am concerned about Kyrie, and we need Kyrie here. Now, I agree with you in the sense that I want AD traded too, but as of right now, that's what we got, right?
Right.
But if he leaves, AD's going to leave too. And I don't know about some of the other guys on the roster, but I'm willing to bet money that if Jason Kidd leaves, we're going to lose some more of our key pieces as well. And then what? You know what I mean? Who are we going to replace Jason Kidd with?
Well, I mean, then that's sort of that's why I don't like the 2 timeline discussion, because it's sort of, I appreciate, and I do want this. Like, I want the Mavericks to do well. I just sort of struggle to see it in times because I just think they need a lead guard, and that actually changes so much of how I feel. But we're just like, look at, I said this after Flag was drafted, where it's like the Mavericks have so many avenues of what they can do, and that's fun and upsetting. And now you throw Jason Kidd into the mix, and it just adds like several more avenues that I don't really like. And because like I don't really mind the chaos, because part of me is like, I've said this before, like my position is if you're gonna build around Flag, like let's really do that. But this is tricky because I never anticipated a Kidd element of this. Like I sort of think that I should have, honestly, because Kidd is really good at self-preservation. But I just sort of assumed like the Mavericks are a pretty good team. He's under contract. The contract element of this is important. It's like he'll get paid either way. It's a little bit. I will simply say that if this really frustrates you, I get it. I get it, is where I am.
Yeah, no, it's very frustrating, and I kind of look at what's going on last night. Great game last night, by the way.
Yes.
But anyway, watching Rick Carlisle last night, and when Rick was in Dallas, I hated Rick Carlisle. Oh, I wanted him gone so bad, right? Mm-hmm. But now I'm looking at him, outside of the aspect that he's my coach. Hell, he's cooking in Indiana. And I got to thinking last night while I was watching the game, I was like, damn, what if Rick wasn't the problem and it was literally everything else going on around him that ultimately led to him being like, you know what, I'm out of here. Yep. And that's kind of where I'm at with Jason Kidd right now. I don't think, do I think he's a great X's and O's coach? Absolutely not. But those guys believe in him, and that's so important, And again, if we lose that, God, I mean, we're in a tough spot. And I don't know, I just wanted to touch on one more point too. Like if going back to last night, I had all these thoughts spawned from last night. Watching Andrew Nembhard cook last night, like was awesome. But like, let's be honest, when do you hear that name? Like, is he a household name? No. You know what I mean? What Indiana did with Nembhard is they developed that guy. Sure. They didn't give up on him. They didn't call him trash after the third game of the season and sent him to the G League. None of that. Like they developed this kid. There's a bunch of guys on that roster that we didn't hear of, that we don't know about. We're way down here in Dallas. We don't watch Indiana basketball. But what that organization does is they develop guys. The Mavericks
and have
organization
for decades.
Yeah.
Like they have been, I don't know this, but I'm pretty sure they haven't drafted in like the top 8 in like 15 years. And maybe even longer, because like they just pivoted. They just constantly pivot and draft and develop. Doesn't really matter who's there. It's just kind of a franchise hallmark.
Yeah, and they're not always been a winning team, but they've always been decent. I'll give them that. But that's one thing that the Mavericks do not do, and I really hope that this offseason, I don't want, honestly, this is probably an unpopular opinion here. I don't care. I don't want to trade and go get another point guard. I don't. I want to keep all of our assets. If we can get off of a couple contracts, Hardy or whatever, and, just clear up some cash or whatever. I really want to see Brandon Williams develop. Hell, I wouldn't even mind Jaden Hardy, since Exum is apparently coming back, rumored to be coming back, whatever. I wouldn't even mind keeping Hardy as the third guard on the bench or whatever. I see a lot of potential in these guys. And as a Mavericks fan, I'm getting so sick and tired of seeing ex-Mavericks players going somewhere else and cooking our asses on a nightly basis because we simply gave up on them.
Is there any one specific player who you think because I'm interested, because my personal guy who I've mentioned this on the Monday show with Josh is I just really I've grown to appreciate PJ in a way I didn't expect. Like I always knew he's good, but it's like you look at his baseline numbers and he's pretty good, but the baseline numbers don't speak to his impact. And I don't think he's a superstar, but I think he's just like the ideal third guy on a team, and he's pretty dang good. I really like PJ. Is there anybody else that you would consider like a guy that you want them to just really hold tight to?
Yeah, Najee.
Okay.
I really want them to hold on to Najee. Najee is
he's fun, man.
And in the last part of the season when we could not get anything going, Najee just put his head down and just got it done. He did not care what was going on. He was going to get his. He was going to uplift the team. He was going to play defense. He's going to make hustle plays. We got to keep Najee at all costs.
Yeah.
And there's this. I'm sorry, I'm going long-winded today.
It's fine.
As far as development and stuff goes too, with some of the guys that we do have, I want to see Derek Lively put on more weight, and I want to see him shoot the ball.
Big year for Derek Lively. Last year was essentially a lost year.
Well, yeah, because apparently he had that injury that went under the radar or whatever. But I really want to see him do more with the balls in terms of facing the basket and shooting. He has a shot. Like,
he does. He's a talented player. I don't think we've seen near enough of how good he is.
Yeah, and I don't know why, and that bothers me too. We haven't even tapped into all of the potential with the guys that we have. Yeah. And like I said, I really want the Mavericks coaching staff and organization to pull their heads out of their asses and focus on basketball and focus on winning. Because honestly, if things go south this summer or the beginning of next season or whatever, I don't see us coming back from it anytime soon. Cooper flag, whatever. It's going to be dark. We have got to get back on track.
It's a strong take. Tyron, I appreciate you.
Right on, brother. Take care.
Talk soon. One of the things I was thinking about with regards to Cooper Flag, I really like Flag. Like Flag a lot. But I watched that game last night and I wonder, where does Flag fit? This damn game is so guard dominated. It's tough. It's ball handler dominated is I think a better way to put it. Okay. Jose, what's happening, brother?
What's up, Kirk? How you doing?
I am great. My man with a voice for radio. Look at that. You guys hear him? It's just sexy. What's going on? Talk to me. What are you thinking?
All right. So once Luka got traded, I gave up on the Mavs season. I mean, I did watch AD's first game and seeing him have a very impactful game, but also what was seen in that one game was kind of all I needed to see from AD's tenure as a Mav. Like I don't need to really see any more to know what I'm gonna get uh, from him later in the road, and also, it's just like seeing AD. I just don't like seeing him. It's hard to embrace him as a Mav just because he's the guy we traded Luca for,
Yeah.
and it's also just the fact that we have no real ties with him. Like we didn't go through the playoff battles with him. We didn't, see all this success that he's kind of just being dropped on to the team with. Now, you could say the same thing about Kyrie, but with at least Kyrie now, we've experienced the Kyrie seasons. We've experienced the moments that just take our breath away. The shot, the hand switch shot over Jokic.
That was such a cool shot.
Yeah, so now it's like we could fully embrace Kyrie, and that's not the same that we could do for AD right now, at least. And I don't know if I would ever just embrace AD just because of the fact
Well,
that
the
was
team
traded.
roster makes it hard in the sense of the Lakers people all tell me that he does his best with like a really downhill oriented guard, which is
Mhm.
Kyrie Irving. Only they don't have Kyrie Irving, so it's like we're going to really struggle to get the best out of his game. Is I think part of the challenge.
hmm And then also like you mentioned like PJ is one of your favorite Mavs right now. Like that takes away from PJ's ability to become a starter because I don't think you're telling Coop, hey, you're coming off the bench and we're gonna roll PJ, uh, AD and Lively or Gafford if we still have Gafford at that time. But I just don't really see how you're really keeping PJ involved in the current Mavericks roster.
Right.
I mean, you could always say, "Hey, AD, you're gonna play your big ass at the five, and you're gonna like it, and we're gonna put PJ right there at the four and let Cooper be the three." But I see a lot of turmoil dealing with that. But I just wanted to say, like, Kyrie is a Mav. I want him to be a Mav. It's great for Cooper Rush. I'm sorry about my dog whining right
I
now. She
can't hear.
wants
Oh,
to.
that's what that was.
Yeah, she wants to go outside, and I'm trying to talk to you, so she's kind of like, "Hey,
Look,
get off
lady, it's
the
hot out there. You don't want to be
mute."
out there.
But
That's no problem.
but yeah, so like Kyrie, I want him to stick around. I think he'll be beneficial for Cooper Flag, and like I do get some of the discourse about the two timelines because yes, you do want to see the Mavs team succeed, and then you also do want to start building around Cooper Flag because the thing with the Warriors is that they got fortunate enough that hey, Curry went down, Clay went down, and they were able to get some of these younger guys. But also, when it came down to winning a chip, they went with their vets. They didn't really play their younger guys. And you don't want to get in a position where, like, hey, Cooper's the younger guy, and we're just gonna go with our vets because this we know this works more than depending on a younger player, especially in the playoffs when we know that experience really matters in those scenarios. You make your name in the playoffs, and
Right.
um, if you don't have that yet, you're not really going to be dependent on. I mean, Kid doesn't really depend on the guys that he doesn't know what to make out of. I mean, he's going to try to get the most out of these guys, but also there is a certain limit that he will go on of playing younger guys over his vets, the guys that he knows. We've seen that with Hardy. We've seen that with Omax. We've seen that with I will say, damn, who else? Because there's been moments where he just didn't lean on these younger guys at all. He went with Exum, he went with PJ, of course. I'm trying to remember. Anyways, the point of the matter is that you don't want to get caught in a sticky situation where you're the Golden State Warriors. You're constantly trying to lean on these vets to come in and help you get this championship. you do want to lead way for Derek Lively and Cooper to be a pair together and build you into the next stage, so to speak. But also, I wanted to make a point about Jason Kidd.
Let's hear it.
So the thing is, I think Jason Kidd lobbies to be a GM one day. And with being under Nico, I think that sticks on you because you're known about being a package deal with Nico. And other teams will probably be like, you were with the guy who co-signed, trading Lucas. So I don't know if I necessarily want you to be the GM. I think he still is making a power play with even just having his name in the Knicks head coaching job, just because that's what Jason Kidd does. He makes power plays in his leadership positions. I mean, Milwaukee and Brooklyn. And even in Dallas, like before Nico just really got established, I mean, he made the power play for JaVale McGee, which we did need a center. But to get JaVale McGee out of every center available, I mean, that's a power play. We went after Sterling Brown. We wanted wings, and he went to get Sterling Brown of all people. So again, I think it's just another Jason Kidd masterful way of just trying to get to where he wants to be at ultimately. He
I
doesn't
mean,
necessarily.
Let's just take off our Maverick centric hats. Looking at the potential chaos for the Mavericks, I don't blame him. They don't have guards.
Right.
But and he's going to be the one that takes all the heat because if the offense is janky, despite the talent, he's the one who gets all the goof.
Right.
That's the problem.
Yeah, and I think it's a easy way again, like to just clean his hands of the mess here in Dallas, but also it's just like hey, I get to take Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges. I get to have guys like this that I could work with as opposed to a probable four who's in and out of the rotation with AD. Kyrie, who won't be back until maybe March at the earliest, and that's cutting it real close to play-in playoff territory. Like it's just a lot to ask for Jason Kidd to stick around and find this destination attractive, especially since again I must reiterate this package deal of Nico and Jason Kidd. I mean, Nico made it.
A lot of people have forgotten that.
Nico made it clear cut. Hey, when our contracts run out,
we're done.
Yeah, we're done. Like it doesn't necessarily matter what happens after us. We're here for right now. And if you're telling me you're only here for right now, why should I be content on just rolling out the 2 timeline roster? Why not just start building for the future? And again, Cooper could benefit from a lot of these vets. It's just at the same time, I don't want to be in a position where they started building too late around Luka. Like they started actually getting. I mean, not too late because you could say, hey, they got aggressive. They brought in KP.
That's actually what I think really put them in a tough spot because the KP thing was it was a gamble, but it's like it paid off for like 25 games. Then COVID happened. Then KP got hurt. It's just brutal.
Right. So it's just I'm at a. It's hard for me to put my thoughts in perspective because there's multiple ways that I could see that this could work. SJ made a really strong argument on her pod about like, hey, like Cooper, unlike Zion, who didn't have that veteran presence, or like could really get it right now. I mean, you see some of the younger talented players who are coming into the league, like LaMelo, Brandon Miller, like they just don't have that extra guidance around, and you're kind of not seeing the end results of like those tanking teams. I'm not just Zion because they don't intentionally tank; they just get a lot of injuries and then they end up not really going anywhere. But also I can see that's the reason why you keep Kyrie. That's why you keep AD, so you could install some winning ways early. Um, but Kirk, if Kid were to leave, like, do you have a candidate? Is Mike Malone somebody that you consider? Is Tyler Jenkins somebody you consider? Like, what's your thought on just a Jason Kidd replacement?
I mean, I love the Jenkins idea, but I also, it sort of depends on what the future moves would be, because that, what Tyron said about development is pretty important to me. Like, that's ultimately why Tibbs got fired in New York. He didn't develop anybody. And so it's a development. Like, to me, it's a bit of a, like, I don't really enjoy the 2-track concept, but I think like always leaning and looking towards developing future guys is important. It's what the Thunder have been good at on top of their talent. And it's, that's just important to me. So I don't know who, I'll probably have better opinions once we know how real the Jason Kidd fire is, because I'll have to. So,
one more thing, do you want the Mavericks to trade back into the first round to possibly get
I always want more draft picks. I always want more draft picks. Draft picks are my favorite, and the fact that the Mavericks haven't had them for most of my Mavs fandom, like, just drives me nuts. I got excited. I got excited about Dominique. Dominique Jones? No, shoot, who was the guy that sat Dojo? Who sat on the end of the 2011 title team? Like, there was the Cunningham. There's been so many guys over the years that I've bullshitted my way into that I just like, give me a reason to believe. That's all.
And then also the fact that you're going to summer league. So not only would you be able to get to be excited about seeing Cooper Flag, but if we do trade back in, you get to get excited about that player as well. But I think
go ahead.
Strategy wise, like, you trade back into the draft and possibly get your guard right there if it's a steal for you. I should say. I think Nico, despite everything that he does, he's reluctant on making moves. He's never subtle. He's always trading something out, whether we like the trade or not. He's just not gonna sit on his hands, and he's gonna make moves. But that's pretty much everything I have.
Jose, thank you so much for waiting to talk to us. We'll talk soon, okay?
Sure.
All right. Sure. Coming up next, my man Brandon. It's been forever since I talked to Brandon. How we doing, friend?
Kirk, I'm doing well. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you look great. You never age a day. What the hell? It's been like 5 years of talking to you. You look the same every time. This is bullshit.
Yeah, I wish my body said the same, but you know how that is.
I do.
Jared Cunningham, Jay Flight, University of Oregon.
First player to scare me on Twitter because he tagged one of my tweets bashing him, and I was like, oh shit, these guys actually do check Twitter.
They just got that new court. They had the real sick dark wood whenever he was just leaving. They just bought the Nike dude dumped a bunch of money in. I remember that he had just left. I was like, man, you playing on the sick court. But Kirk, I look first, like, I want to give Rick his flowers. I feel like, I don't know, he's put in a position he's a situational coach. And if you think about it, one of my pet peeves when he was with the Mavericks is he would call a lot of timeouts and he would just micromanage. But now,
you notice what he doesn't do now, brother? Ooh.
Exactly. He does not micromanage. He does not call like a lot of timeout. Look at that fourth quarter. If it was Dallas, he would have burnt through those timeouts and rotated players out. Even on that last, that inbound play, knowing Rick, he would have called a bunch of timeouts and just try to play situational ball to get to mix it up. He just sub players in just to throw the other team off. Now he has the perfect team. Those guys, they play defense. They don't like make costly decisions. They shoot poor free throws, and he's good at making people better. But he got a lot of guys out there that's willing to hustle and play defense and willing to, somebody that he could trust in Halliburton. And so, hats off to him. He's looking at a lot of situations and he's making it happen. But I kind of just hope that, to me, I look at it like this. I don't believe the Mavericks are going to do well this season. Regardless if they get flagged or not, they're not going to do well. They're going to find some way to always get in their own way, which is unfortunate. But the main thing about me is forward thinking. I'm like, look at who's up to leave this year and who's up to leave next year before they start making plans about what they can build around Flag, because it's been instances time and time again to where Dallas has shown that they can't keep free agents. So regardless of the plans that they make, that doesn't solidify what's really going to happen.
Yep.
Like, who's going to stay? PJ's up next year. Gaffer's up next year. Lively's up next year. Exum this year. Kyrie this year. I mean, Spencer Dinwiddie this year. So, hey, that's a lot of talent right there. That's up.
Yeah. Well,
I just think that, like, to me, this is just me. I know people may not agree, but like, if they got Flag, if they didn't, I would still watch the games. But ideally, I would expect to build a team without Kyrie. For one, because of the injury, and for two, if he comes back and the team isn't doing well, he could easily say, "What am I here for? I don't want to walk into this hornet's nest." Right. So to me, I will look at some option, maybe like, I don't know, Trae Young, for example. Let's put Trae Young and Flag around each other, or Tyler Hero and Flag around each other.
That's some dark shit. I don't know if I can handle watching Trae Young, man.
They got to get somebody in there. To me, they got to get somebody in there that's going to, at least, for one, attract audiences, and for two, to bring in somebody that could play alongside the Cooper Flag.
Yeah, no, that part I agree with fundamentally. I think they have to, the guard that pairs with him, or the ball, like the play initiator, let's just say, right, that pairs with him is going to be important. But he's such a fascinating player. I'm not sure. If you check out Mavs Moneyball a couple days ago, Tyler Edsel wrote about like the best half of basketball he saw him play in the tournament. And the guy is just capable of so much offense. He just hasn't really scratched the surface, but it's really a matter of how's the offense structured. Like, I don't necessarily want him to be the initiator. I want him to be a play finisher. So Patrick agrees with you in the chat. He says, I kind of don't hate Trae Young and Flag together. I don't hate it. I hate Trae Young. I don't know if that distinction makes a difference to anyone. But
a lot of people hate Trae Young. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. A lot of people do.
Right.
But, I mean, but Kirk, think about this. Like, you got a tall Flag. You got AD.
Sure.
To me, Lively doesn't fit in this picture just based off of his skill set, and being that there you got a dominant guy in AD, you got a dominant guy in Flag. Those are three dominant guys. To me, Lively doesn't fit into this.
Do you know you remember, you ever hear Matthew? He was a Mavs Moneyball contributor that pop in here sometimes. He's a police officer. You ever see him? Remember him on here?
Yes,
so he shares this. He has this take, which I've not really. I get it. I don't want to say I endorse it or not, but I think it's a really fun take. He says that Anthony Davis and Derek Lively overlap too much. He's like, I don't think they can play together because I think they do too much of the same stuff, which is a fun take for me. I don't know if I agree with it. Obviously, Derek Lively, doesn't done anything near like AD does on offense or defense for that matter. But it's just, I do think there's something. Your whole point about AD being the odd, or not AD, Derek Lively being the odd man out is interesting to me. But it's like from a cost. I hate that we have to be basketball accountants. AD makes $60 million next year. So I'm just like, I don't know if I want. I'm just not sure if that's a great way to build a team. It's a tough one for me.
Yeah, the Nuggets. I'm sorry, not the Nuggets, but the Nets. They have 4 picks next year, and they have a lot of room to take on that AD contract. I'm pretty sure Dallas would look at it like this. But to me, I mean, like, just basketball wise, AD plays on the left side of the block, if I'm not mistaken, and then Lively plays on the right side of the block. And they both, in a way, AD, he'll pull you out. Lively really doesn't pull guys out, and he doesn't really shoot that.
Though I want him to. Like, I want to see if he can.
And that's my point, Kirk. That, to me, they're not going to be able to develop him into what they need to, because they're trying to develop Flag and they're trying to develop Lively. But
sure.
Lively, he hasn't been developed like he should have been due to the injuries.
Yes.
And so the capital that they should be putting into Lively, they're going to be putting into, Flag, and then also trying to build an offense around Flag, and then trying to get AD his numbers is not conducive to his development. So to me, I feel like the Mavericks really need to take a really hard look in the mirror and see who they really need to keep and who they really need to move on with. Because like if an offense without AD and somebody without Kyrie with some type of point guard that's willing to share the rock, like maybe let's say Tyler Hero, or somebody that's willing to come in and be a good facilitator, it seems like that would be more conducive to Lively's growth and Flag's growth compared to keeping these veterans around that's really just good for shooting and shooting threes, and that's it. Like who's going to be able to space the floor? Like think about Halliburton. He's able to space the floor, and that's why they're doing so well. Without Kyrie, they don't have a lot of floor. They don't have good floor space.
No, it's a matter of margins, where it's like when you talk about space in the floor. If you go back and watch the 2011 Mavs highlights, the sheer number of guys who play in the short corner as opposed to the actual corner, it's different, and the space clearly helps guys score. But I understand what you're saying. My man, you got anything else for us?
That's it, Kirk, man. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Talk soon, okay?
See you later.
All right. Coming up next is SC, who actually started several of our shows when the rest of you were leaving me hanging. How are we doing this afternoon, man?
Look, we're now at summer hours at my job, so we're done at 2 on Fridays. So depending on when you have your thing, I may or may not be able to join.
I'm gonna try 2:30 to 3:30, depending. I mean, I should be working. I just keep checking my email, you know.
Well, that's fair. Honestly, I just wanted to come on and say I really appreciate your article today. I had a friend share it with me, and
you're like, I know that guy.
Facilitated a pretty good conversation, just because he feels very similar to the way that you do, and I don't. And so we had a really good conversation just about the Mavs in general. And he was the kind of guy that immediately when this happened, he was like, I'm done. I'm cutting him out. Not coming back. But also he's my only basketball friend. So he's still the one I talk to about basketball. And he's just like,
you're like pulling you back. Sorry, buddy.
Well, he's the first person I called after the Mavs got the first pick. And he was like, I'm not watching at all. And he was like, also, of course they did. Right. And so I'm like, look, I just need one guy to listen to me talk about Mavs basketball. And it used to be you, and it's still going to be you, unfortunately. So I just want to say, great article. I really enjoyed it. And then my other point, do you think people hate Trae Young because his hair is bad? Like, if he was bald, do you think people would respect him more?
It's a great question, because I often feel the same way about Luka, because Luka's got such a big fucking head. Like,
I've been thinking about Cooper Flag. Like, what are we going to do? He's 18 now. The hairline's fine now, but in the future, where are we
going to have to watch that closely, because Luka's hairline was very clear when he was drafted that thing was going to run away from his forehead at like peak speeds. Instead, it just creeps back here. It's a really good question, because hair impacts how you feel about basketball players a great deal.
So Cooper Flag has the youth basketball hair where it's like short, but when it gets sweaty, it's like individual little pieces. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about.
No, but he doesn't have. And I have. And Kevin Gray, don't you dare tell Tim Cato. He's in the comments. Don't you dare tell Tim Cato I said this. But thank goodness Cooper Flag doesn't have the Meemaw haircut. Like, you know, the thing where it's like they all got it, and it's like right here. It's like a perm in the front.
Oh, we call that LaMelo.
I hate it.
That's what I call it, LaMelo.
It turns like I live in fear of my own child wanting the Meemaw, and I can't do it.
It's like when you look, when you go to the Grand Canyon and you look at like, here are the different layers, and you can tell how old something is.
Yes.
That haircut can tell you how old someone is. If you see someone with that haircut, you're like, oh, you're at 20 or less. I guess maybe 24 or less. Whatever.
No, I'm trying to find a photo, because like I literally I need our people to understand it's too much for me.
Is it already impacting your kids' basketball teammates? Do several of them have that cut?
No, but that's because he plays with a pretty, like he's like one of two white dudes on the team, so he doesn't really have that challenge at the moment. But
fair enough. Yeah.
Oh, where is this?
If he's one of two white dudes on the team, he will ask for that haircut.
I hate it.
He's gonna ask for it.
You're making me scared. I can't find the photo that I sent, because it was.
And then, apropos of nothing, my last point: we're getting the green jerseys back this year, apparently. right?
Where'd you see that? You have to send me this.
It's Hardwood Classic year. That means green, does it not?
What about? Oh no. So I love like the famous Brad Davis. Is it Brad Davis? No, who's the mustachioed man, the guard? Gosh, dang
yeah,
it.
that's Brad Davis.
Okay, Brad Davis. Like the famous photo of Brad Davis in the white Mavs uniform is like with the green trim. That's like one of my favorite, and they just don't do it anymore. So it's like I like the green, but I like the green as an accent with the white. This is great. I had no idea it was a hardwood glare. That's fantastic. I'm hopeful you're right.
I'm looking right now, but I'm like 90% sure the Mavs are part of it this year.
Okay, this is good. This is great. Cooper Flag would look great in Mavs green.
Yes, they are one of 5 teams to receive a classic jersey for this year. Yep.
This is clutch. Nike, don't fuck this up. You hear me? I want to give you my money.
It's gonna be that good one. It's gonna be the one with the Dallas across, not the like swoopy Mavs.
Yes.
So
this is great.
Anyway,
take. It's good.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
Well, let's talk soon. I really appreciate you hanging out to talk with us for this long. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
All
Talk
right.
to you later, Kirk.
All right, have a good one. SC, just bring. He's been on multiple shows when no one else joined. Andrew, welcome to the show. How you doing? Hit that unmute there. There's a mute down at the bottom of the thing. I can probably try to figure it out for you if it won't let you. Nope. It is still muted for you on the thing end. Give Andrew a second to figure it out. All right, I'm going to remove Andrew, see if he can fidget with the settings. I'm going to bring on Andy. Hey, brother, it's a good time of day for you to join. You better not be muted.
No, I'm not right now. Maybe next time. Good to talk to you.
How you doing?
Been too long. Very good. I saw you online, and just with such good news, I had to join. It's been too long, and I just hope that he is going to the Knicks, and even my wife enjoys this. Here we go. So that's best news. And when I saw Brian crack something open, I thought I'd get some German fizzy water and enjoy the evening with you guys.
That's what I had. I finished it, but it was vodka soda in a can. Really,
you're good, man.
Not bad. Not bad.
It works. So good to talk to you. I hope he takes Nico with him. I know they are like good friends as far as I am concerned. And when they both said, "Oh, it was a good idea to trade Luka," let's just, I don't know, burn some tires on the road or whatever, and make sure they leave quickly. I think we have been blessed with the first pick.
Yes.
And this drew me back into my Mavs fandom a little bit. I think I saw a lot of guys with the same sort of feelings towards that, and I can't wait for the next season. I'm curious what we will do with point guard, obviously, like everyone else. But I'm happy to be excited about next season already. That's what I can tell you. Hopefully with a different coach.
It's a great take. So, and then, the Mavericks Summer League will start June 10th, which is a Thursday. And it's those games are all on California time, which might be really terrible for you to be able to see the games. I can't remember which time zone you're in.
Yeah, it's close to midnight right now, right here. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, then you can watch I wouldn't stay up late to watch these. You can watch the replay. The replay should be available because they really enjoy getting Summer League stuff out there. So that'll be fun. But yeah, there's plenty of reasons to be to tune back in, and at least as far as I'm concerned.
The same here. So so that when I also ask myself whether it should be was Jason Kidd a good coach so far in his 4 or 5 years? And when I asked myself that question, I said, well, what makes a good coach? And that one thing where I think you have been pointing towards as well, the one good thing is talent development, maybe to a degree. Mm-hmm. And I think he has had his go at some guys, rejuvenating some careers maybe. But apart from that, it's maybe standing with his hands in the pocket on the sideline. And that's been pretty much it. And therefore, I would be ecstatic about a new coach as well. Him not being carried again so far into the playoffs by another generational talent.
Yeah. I mean, he's only won 50 games with Luka. Like when Luka was on the team, is the only 2 times he's won 50 or more games. I think the answer to the question is yes, he is a good coach. I think he is an excellent playoffs coach. And I think but the problem is you need to be a good enough regular season coach. I mean, if the Pacers win, pretty sure the Pacers are the 4 seed from the East. Could be wrong. If they are, okay. If the Pacers win, they will be the first seed since the Houston Rockets in 1995. That wasn't a top 3 seed. And so it's just by and large, you need to be one of the best regular season teams. And Kidd never put an emphasis on that. He just never did. And that's the real thing for like regular season success portends postseason success. It just does. It's the best indicator. And I know the season's too long and injury. And so I really do actually, he's a better coach than I gave him initial credit for, but he really didn't do enough to make the Mavericks good in the regular season. So.
Yeah, but you might be right about that. The only thing where I need to think about a little bit maybe still is I think he should have realized that when Jalen Brunson was still on the team, because this what sort of seat were they in when they went that far with Jalen? I don't even remember. But this lesson should have been learned that season, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And since the ball never dropped in that regard, allow me to be a bit skeptical. I'm not sure. So you still might be right about that.
Yeah.
Well, but those are my takes, and again, I'm very grateful to be drawn back in again, also by your great show. So thank you very much for that.
Hey, thanks so much for staying up late to talk with us.
Thank you very much.
All right, talk soon. Have a good day or evening.
You too.
Bye. All right, we're gonna try Andrew again. There it is.
Right.
How you doing,
Can you
Andrew?
hear me? I'm doing great. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thank you so much for waiting to talk.
Yeah, no worries. I'm definitely gonna come off as a total bootlicker here for your takes. But
never mind.
I
That's
was
the best kind of guest. What are you talking about?
No, but I genuinely was so upset as everyone was with the Luka trade. But more importantly, like I just can't fully reinvest. Like I am very excited about Flag. Don't get me wrong. I will probably watch games, but I barely watched any games, Mavs games post Luka trade. And I watched practically all the Lakers games, which still hurt and felt weird at times. But I mean, that was our guy. We were invested. Right. And I know it stings. And I think there is a larger than contingent than what people expect of people that are just like, I want nothing to do with Nico. And that there will be people that come back. What do you think about it? Like,
I think Rick Welch has sort of oversold elements of like, oh, we have all sorts of people that are coming back because of Flag, but I do think a lot of people are coming back. I think that the Nico stuff will continue until he's gone. I just do. I just do. People, if the internet didn't exist, maybe not.
Yeah,
but this is too tough. At least in my opinion, this is too tough. To say, you know what, like we're just gonna move on. Like I just think that there's gonna be a fair number of fans back. I think like this is a nerdy weird thing to say, but I do believe that the push for the antennas and the Mavericks really went out of their way last year to make the team more watchable, and I think that matters. That really does matter. So it's I'm kind of torn. Like it's going to take a while to win people back, but they need to do something. Like if next year is, and I see this in our I see this a ton in what do you call it? Like our downloads, where it's just, you know, when the Mavericks lose, we have like a 40 to 50% drop off. When they win, it's better. When Luka left, it's just not great. So it's like superstar stuff does drive casual attention. The heart, we always have a floor, but it's like that. The Mavericks haven't, you know, you got the football, and then there's so many different things people can do.
Yep.
I just think it's going to be quite the path to bringing people back. But this is also such a huge media market.
Yeah, and I think the undercovered, and I've heard you and the DLLS guys kind of mention it in passing, is, and one of the things that probably broke the most trust with Nico potentially from ownership is the sponsorship dollars. When it became a hard and fast hundreds of millions of dollars in sponsorships were lost due to the Luka transition.
Like future, like kind of future outlay stuff. That's what it seemed like to me.
Yeah, and I think once it hit Dumont's wallet more directly, that is kind of setting up all the things that you and Josh Bowe point out of, we're in this super weird position where now he has to defend his franchise from his top employee, the general manager. It's absolutely insane. You guys are both 100% right. And it drives me up a wall. And like I said, I don't know if I will pay attention, but will I, stop what I'm doing on a weekday in the middle of the season to watch a Mavs game like I used to during the Luka era and before that? I don't know. And I'm a league pass guy. I'm a diehard NBA fan. I'm watching games all the time, and I'll have the Mavs over here. But before, it was, if the Mavs were on, that's what I'm doing no matter what. And so it hurts. It genuinely hurts. It stings, and it's not right. They really got to do something. Either put out more PR people, who was the assistant GM that's a local guy that came on.
He wanted to take that with you. I said his name earlier, and now it's slipping my mind.
But that was a much better PR move than having Nico do anything. And I think you're 100% right too. The fire Nico chance will continue until morale improves pretty much. But outside of that, I'm just sick of having to face the fact that Nico exists within our franchise. It's just disturbing. Now I did hear a gentleman who
Matt Riccardi. Thank you, Luke. Sorry.
Appreciate it. One thing that you mentioned was a spicy take that I'm kind of here for now that it's been said is AD and Lively overlap. That is a fascinating, and I think there's a lot of meat on the bone there of, do they overlap too much? And if AD is not shooting the ball with any kind of decent percentage, I think it's brutal for the Mavs offense. And the spacing is going to be terrible. Even if Clay's out there, that's not going to be enough to fix it. And you even saw that towards the tail end of this season.
Yeah. The offense is something that people mistake talent, which the Mavericks have a lot of, for fit. And the fit is not there right now. And you'll just start to see it. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, and imagine a lineup which I would personally love, that sounds great on paper, of Lively, AD, PJ. Those are all, one's a non-shooter at the moment, hopefully turns into one. And AD's, his career 3-point percentage? Low 30s, high 20s. And then PJ is streaky at best, and that was our big question mark going into last season. How well is PJ going to shoot the corner three? And that spacing is going to be a nightmare and make it tough for Flag to develop as a playmaker at the 2 ? So anyways, my other thing is I really think that having Kyrie and AD, and I know a lot of people have kind of said something similar, having that veteran all-star leadership, I think is good for his development, but the 2 timeline stuffs really sucks. Like you're saying, it's just brutal. They got to pick a lane, I think, and trading AD is where I personally would choose to do. And I think Kyrie is a better culture fit. I can't believe I'm saying that in the year of our Lord 2025, is that Kyrie's better for a team's culture than, other superstars, which is crazy from where he was during the pandemic era and his Nets era. So, but outside of that, I just wanted to say thanks for kind of voicing my concerns with the get rid of Nico thing. And that's what I really wanted to hop on here and talk about. So,
yep. All right. Thanks so much, man. We'll talk soon.
Yep. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a good one. Cade, what you got going?
How are you doing, Kirk?
I'm all right.
Sorry, I haven't been able to watch much, so I'm jumping in a little late. And excuse me if this has kind of been touched on before, but like the fact that it feels like there's a real possibility that he does leave, because it actually makes a bit of sense. But the fact that he would go, like, just lets you know how terrible things are still within the franchise, that he's trying to get out from all this Luka stuff, and Nico's still here. Mm-hmm. Like, if the coach that was brought in as a package deal with Nico does not trust Nico himself either, then like what are we doing here? Just waiting around, letting Nico hang around? Well, like, it seems like the whole franchise clearly does not like him or trust him. Like everyone's actions around it kind of just show that, like, they don't believe in him, and yet he's still here. I just don't get the thought process or the mindset of anything of what's going on. I get a lot of the criticisms of Kidd, and I feel like it would be good to move on eventually, but I think if he left right now, it kind of would suck, because he does seem to be pretty good at getting the players to play hard for him. And I kind of do believe in him to develop Flag a little bit, at least early on, and then potentially maybe a few years down the road is kind of when you move on. But the fact that Kidd would be the first to go and not Nico is kind of just mind-blowing to me.
Yep. No, it's really something that's hard to deal with. I'm reading the comments on the article I wrote today, and there are like multiple people that are like, "You have real problems. Are you going to go after your son's little league coach if he doesn't play him?" And it's like,
man, I that's the one thing I hate is like when people try to like make you feel bad or guilt you into caring about sports.
Yeah.
You know, like this stuff matters to us. We spend like during the NBA season, it's 2 or 3 nights a week, several hours just watching and consuming other content.
That's right.
There's nothing wrong with it. We really love it. And we all develop our own personal connections with that stuff. And like the people that try to police that, like, and the fact is they do it themselves too. It's just that you're going against someone or some philosophy that they actually agree with. That like a lot of those people, they just hated Luka to begin with, or something like that. Or I don't know, they're just would always be attached to the idea of the Dallas Mavericks and not really with the players within it. And that's like, some people can do that. That's fine. But like the whole, like, oh, you're a bad person for caring about sports too much and for letting it impact you mentally. It's like, no, like all that shit's that's such bullshit. But all right, I just wanted to jump in and say that. Thank you so much. You have a good one.
Oh, Kirk. Of course. Talk soon. All right.
Yep.
All right. Bye. Guys, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks so much for hanging out. Almost 2 hours. Woo! Everyone have a great weekend. Josh and I will be back probably Monday or Tuesday, and go Mavs.